What's up, Indy? Had to get a little bit of Curtis Mayfield in there. No Delphonics, not tonight. But Delphonics bad though. Alright, so I'm on so many platforms tonight. I didn't set it up, but Asia took care of it. I'm your daddy. The chat is ready to display. I'm your pusher man. You know, Indy, this is the song that turned me out as a kid. I tell the story how I used to play the 8-track of this repeatedly. All right, what we got here? We got weekly live stream, YouTube, Rumble. We're gonna see who pop up in the live stream tonight. Nah, they don't understand. What's up, Kev? Yeah. I'm trying to send out some messages here. Asia got me on all these platforms. I don't even know how to type it in. John C. Baldwin. Nah, this is before my time. I think I was 8. So that was 1972. Yeah. I remember listening to the 8-track repeatedly. Yeah, I know, Kev. But Kev, listen. Pay attention, but don't let it get the best of you. I think there's a lot going on with our psyche. It's almost like they gaslighting us with all of this stuff. I saw the stabbing on the train in Charlotte, and it just looked weird to me. You know, it could be the dude is just crazy, but and I'm not just making excuses for anybody, because I think all of these school shootings, these mass shootings, all of these things, they all seem like it's something else going on. Maybe I'm reading too much into it, but a lot of this stuff just don't make sense. The girl happened to be from Ukraine. She was working at a pizzeria, 23 years old. She gets on the train, just sitting down, and this happens. Don't make sense. 100,000 Russians ready for a push on the listen, Indy. They're getting ready on the border of Finland as well. They say they're tearing up that World War II agreement. They say after Ukraine, Finland is next, because Finland wants to put NATO troops and weapons on their border. They're building up troops on Finland's border right now. I don't know what Trump is going to do. I think, and I don't know, Indy, I think that if Ukraine loses, it would undermine American influence. So no matter how you feel about the war, we kind of like in a we too far gone to turn back position. Because once the other powers and the rest of the world see that American support don't mean nothing, then we get to be in a lonely place. And people that used to line up with us start lining up with our adversaries, namely China and Russia. So it's like, they got to win in Ukraine, There's a military guy that talks to me on Twitter, and he said he'd rather the Ukrainians fight the Russians than we fight them in Poland. And he's active, He trains and whatever. So I don't know if he was signaling something or what. Don't start smelling napalm because you played your record. Nah, William, them days is way behind me, man, Yeah, for sure. What's good, Glasgow Cojones? What's up? Yeah, Kev, crazy people have always existed. I really believe we have too much news. Yeah, as far as the racial angle, it seems like the coverage has a purpose. And when you got people like DeSantis commenting on Daniel Penny in New York, or J.D. Vance commenting on the situation in Cincinnati, or now Trump commenting on the attack on the subway in Charlotte, it's almost like they're signaling to their base, like, yo, we should be mad about this. They are the ones who's drawn attention to these type of cases like this, That it's not a good thing. I mean, for sure, the individual who stabbed that girl, he definitely needs to be punished, locked up, whatever. But I don't know why our president has to comment on things like that. I don't know why a vice president has to comment. I don't know why the governor of Florida has to comment on something that happened in New York City subway. It just doesn't seem natural. It seems like there's some undercurrent there. That's just how I see it. News, what's happening, brother? Based on her Instagram, who is the Ukrainian girl? I mean, they were doing mail order brides not too long ago, but still she shouldn't be stabbed to death, Not at all. Yeah, Kevin, and also like I was saying, don't let all this bad news take you over the deep end. You just got to keep a clear mind, keep your head on the swivel, and just be prepared to protect yourself and your family. Other than that, it's just going about life as it is. And truthfully, those things I just said, prescribed, that should be the case no matter what. Not even just because of all the things that are going on right now. I think a lot of us take our day-to-day activities for granted. We take tomorrow for granted. And it's really serious out here, man. Not saying you can't have fun, but somebody got to mind the store. Somebody got to mind the store. Yeah, I did see China's military parade, but there's a lot of theatrics going on, man. A lot of theatrics. Assalamu alaikum, Mumin. They're purposely using race to give up our, they're fear-mongering, right? They're making people scared. And we got to be honest. We got to be honest, John. A lot of people, when you see them in Chicago threatening the president and the National Guard and daring them to come in, talking about they got switches and all that, I mean, these fools within our community, although they're not, we're not the same as them, but we all get lumped together because of that, right? Because of our skin color. And those people are providing the justification for many of the injustices that we're subjected to. Because it's really, supposedly intended for them. But since it's hard for people to distinguish one from the other, they think we're like a monolith. This is what happens. Where we at? Speaking of the U.S. allies, did you catch the story on Korean workers captured by ICE in the Hyundai plant? No, I didn't. I did not. I did see, though, Glasgow, that Trump is going after the Indians and their properties. So a lot of people who overstay their visas do different things and start buying homes and what have you. If they don't pay their fines, they're going to seize their properties. You know what I'm getting from all of this, though? What I'm getting from all of this is that the U.S. needs money. And they're going to put the squeeze on anybody who got it. They're going to get rid of people who's living off of the public dime to save money. Because it's better to deport people than to deny Americans, especially in lean times. And where they can jack you and take what you got, they're going to do that. I think that's what's happening right now in Venezuela. Venezuela might as well be Guam after they finish with Maduro and them, because, they're drug dealers and they're this and they're that, and they have the largest oil reserves in the world, proven oil reserves. It's not that sweet crude that's easy to extract and refine, but it's still there. It's a few extra steps, but if you're not paying anything for it, what difference does it make? What's up, Peter? How you doing, brother? I'm telling you, 50 plus docks, warehouses being built. Someone said Amazon is getting ready in the next 5 years to corner the grocery market. There's so many plans, and some of them are going to come to fruition, and others are going to be redirected. Because I've seen plans of 15-minute cities where they're getting us ready for no cars, and that's why they have all these rented bikes and scooters, and you can get everywhere you need to go to get everything you need within 15 minutes from where you live. And they're going to grow the food in the 15-minute cities hydroponically in buildings. So it's not going to be spread out like on acreage, but it's going to be in high rises going up. And that's the plan. If you look at that project in Saudi Arabia, NEOM, I don't know, it's like $1 trillion project or whatever. That's an example. And I see that as really a high-tech prison. When they're talking about the convenience, slavery is going to be a convenience. That's how it's going to be sold to people. And they're going to sign up for it. Neo-feudalism. All this convenience with like NEOM and 15-minute cities and whatever names they got for them. You're pretty much going to be locked in a certain area with all the comforts that you need. All the virtual reality, sex robots, all these other things that they, developing to consume your time. And you're going to be contained in these places. And I suspect, I don't know how soon this is going to happen, but I suspect they're going to leave the rest of the world for the super elite so they can enjoy things that we once took for granted. parks and mountains and all this stuff. That's what it's looking like. Never waste a good crisis. Yeah. Rahm Emanuel said that as well. He must have been quoting Winston Churchill. I think Trump and his team base saw this as prime opportunity to pivot from Epstein's situation. I'll tell you the truth about Epstein news. I'm not sure there's any dirt on Trump with Epstein. I want to believe that if there was dirt on him, the Democrats would have released it when Biden was in office. They tried everything else to put him down. Look at all the fake cases that he got. The man got booked, everything. You mean to tell me when Joe Biden was in office and he had the FBI and DOJ on his side willing to do anything, that there was Epstein evidence and they didn't leak it? I think he's using the Epstein files. That's why he don't want to release it. He's extorting everybody. That's why he's going around getting $1.2 trillion from the Middle East emirs and sheikhs and all that, and he's working all these deals. I think he has control of that information. That's why they're giving him all these jets and showering the man with wealth, because he got the goods on everybody, for sure. That's what I think. I don't know. Hey, Darnita, what's up? Museums and art galleries. I go to museums. I check them out. I think they're cool. They're good for kids. I think it's a way to educate kids about a lot of things. You know, I go now because I didn't go when I was a kid, but I could see if I was going as a kid, the kid that I would have been super intrigued by it. I think it's educational. What happens is when politics gets involved, whether it be with museums or anything else, then it starts undermining the organic purpose of it, because it's involved with indoctrinating people. You know, Napoleon Bonaparte had one of my favorite sayings. He said, "History is a set of lies agreed upon." And a lot of times these museums, they reinforce these historical lies. And that's where it gets a little iffy with me. But once you're aware of it, you know, when you take your kids, like I would give my kid that conversation as well. So even though it may not be 100% factual, it's still information. And at the end of the day, as we collect all this data, it is up to us to formulate our own thoughts and arrive at our own conclusions, and not just accept the conclusions other people present to us. Eddie Ogun, what's up, bro? Brooklyn in the house. Did you see Ben Shapiro on the Breakfast Club? Yeah, well, Louisiana's kind of rough. It is, you know. It's super rough. They're like a different breed down there. I was watching, there's a YouTube channel, and they show parole hearings. And many of them are from Louisiana. And man, those guys are, a different kind of special. There was a guy from 1982 who had kidnapped the warden at Angola and the warden's wife. And he lost his arm. The warden blew his arm off. And he was going up for parole in 2022. He went in at like 17 years old. And when he was 57, he was trying to get parole after doing 40 years. And there was a bunch of cases, like down there, they throw them guys in prison and throw the key away. And it's amazing the severity of the crimes that they commit at such a young age. in those places. I mean, vicious crimes, man. Rape, all kinds of super predatory. I don't mean date rape, and I'm not trying to, minimize date rape, but I'm talking about these are like, we'll see somebody at the bus stop type rape and drag them behind a building. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, it's not like somebody misread the communications and thought no meant yes. No, these people are like literal predators. And one of the things that when I watch these programs, one of the things that stand out to me is that they don't really seem 100% intellectually there. They seem very, very low IQ. I'm pretty sure if you did a IQ test on them, they're all hovering around 70 or below. From the people that I saw, Trump going after the cartels, I think is a good thing. Man, I mean, he doesn't have to do it that way. There's so many other ways to do it, I think he's using the cartels as an excuse to establish a military presence on foreign soil. Because, again, with all the information, all the technology, they can track the money, they can freeze funds, they can do a lot of things that doesn't have to, that doesn't have to require troops. Where are these people going to move their money? Where are they going to spend it? So I have a cousin. He's retired now, but he was like a Fed or something, and he used to do surveillance on stash houses. This was like in the 90s. And you'd be surprised how much money these people have sitting in houses built into walls and the floors because they don't have anywhere to put it. And they'll usually get like, at least from what I discovered, they usually get like really, really innocuous looking elderly people, grandma, grandpa, abuelo. They got like maybe $500 million in the walls and floors, old car in the driveway, very unassuming. And they have those type of houses all over the country, And and the reason why I'm bringing it up is because moving that kind of money around is a problem. And when those houses are under surveillance, we know where all the money is, bro. But not all of it. It's easy to find. It's easy to find. A lot of the drug dealing is allowed. I'll give you an example. On 9/11, right after 9/11, there was a drought. No drugs was getting in. None. Because they sealed the borders. What that told me was, if they could do it then, they can do it anytime. So I don't really believe this war on drugs and all this nonsense, They've been working that way for a minute now to these 15 minutes. Yeah, the AI aspect doesn't sit well with me. It don't sit well with me either. The AI seems like it's the beast system. Depending on who's talking, they say AI has gone sentient. It's figured out how to disconnect itself from the controller and all kinds of things. I don't know. This AI thing seems real spooky. What's up, Dave? If Trump gets all this money from tariffs, is it true you think he can get rid of income taxes for people? My question is, why would he? Why would he? I'm not saying he won't, but very seldom do people in power do things on such a scale to benefit people who have no power. Everything they do is to maintain their power. You know, gold hit $3,700, Kev. That's telling me that the dollar is going down. Depending on who you're talking to, it's like either Trump is the greatest or he's the worst. But there's no gray area with him, you know, and you don't know who's actually right. Because, again, politics it's pretty much behind a lot of these takes. Amazon is working heavy on adding data centers. They use an incredible amount of energy, water, power. That's why that Michigan area is so vital and why they want control of the water in Detroit. Because the Great Lakes up there, that's the largest body of fresh water. I don't know, possibly in the world. You know, and right now in Vietnam, Glasgow, I think they just closed 86,000 bank accounts. And it's because the bank accounts weren't connected to biometric identification. And that's part of this Real ID thing. The Real ID is not even a driver's license. It's part of a federal identification system that's going to be linked to your finances. All of that. They're already taking biometrics, facial recognition when you apply to live in certain places. It's getting tough. It's getting tough. Yeah, cojones, the attacks do seem coordinated. Trump talking about a local crime. Yeah, it's a horrific crime, but I think you got more to worry about, Mr. President, than send National Guard into Charlotte. I think the National Guard is going to be all over the country. We're going to have a military presence. I saw a video online of a train going through D.C. I wasn't even aware there was a train track running near 375, and it had a lot of military armored vehicles on it. When I say a lot, I mean tens of thousands. It just kept going. They say the Humvee is being replaced, and that's why they was transporting those armored vehicles. But we're being prepared for something. They're talking about crime. They're using crime as an excuse, but troops are being positioned in American cities, and that means one of two things. They are either anticipating civil unrest or, dare I say, an invasion. What about Trump trying to get Adams out of the New York race? Yeah. You know, Peter, what about Adams not going along with it and then turning around and having a press conference where he's talking about making the birthday of the Prophet Muhammad a holiday? It seems like he was purposely trying to get back at certain people. Maybe get back at people he felt betrayed him. Look, like I was explaining in my last vlog, Mark Robinson was running for governor of North Carolina. Republican, black guy, black conservative, very articulate, very verbose, right? Mark Robinson, according to an investigative journalist, CNN, left some inappropriate messages in the comment section of a porn website that makes him look like a hypocrite, right? From over a decade ago. Once that story leaked, the Trump team stopped taking his calls. He's a Republican. They was riding with him all the way until he messed up. And we don't even know if he really messed up. I kind of believe he did, but you know. Andrew Cuomo, man, has been investigated by his own party. The same Letitia James that went after Trump investigated Andrew Cuomo and concluded that he sexually harassed a dozen women. Tried to kiss one, fondled another. Cuomo's policies placed COVID patients in nursing homes where over 15,000 seniors died. Cuomo was forced to step down in August of 2021, just 4 years ago. Mark Robinson, I think it was 2014, or it was over a decade ago, 2012, somewhere around there. Mark Robinson left comments. Cuomo is fondling everybody. His daughter is getting fondled by his security guard. Before that, his wife, the Kennedy chick, she was getting banged out in a bathroom somewhere of a restaurant owner. When I hear Cuomo name, all I think of is hanky panky. That's it. I don't think of great politics. I don't even think about his father, Mario. His name is always associated with some kind of sexual hijinks, right? He's a Democrat. He's a staunch adversary of Trump. How the hell is Trump going to support him over Adams? It just doesn't look right. It doesn't look right. I'll admit that there may be things going on that I don't know. It just doesn't look right, man. Because on one hand, this man left comments on a website and you don't take his calls. And then on the other hand, this man who's in a different party from you, who's your direct opponent, who's going to fight you on everything, he's harassing women. He got all kinds of personal baggage. And he's a incompetent nincompoop. And then you say you think he got a better chance to beat Mamdani. I'll tell you the truth. I think Mamdani appeals to a lot of people who either can't vote or they're not going to vote. That open socialism thing, I think that's a scare. I don't think it's real. I don't think enough New Yorkers are going to vote for him. I just don't. I think a lot of them, they can't vote because they're immigrants or they got some kind of issues. And young people, from my experience, they come out mostly for like presidential elections if they identify with, let's say, a black woman candidate or the first black president or something like that. They're just not that emotionally invested in politics like that. Eric Adams had a great saying. He said that the people who vote are on Social Security, not social media. I found that out the hard way. I took Coleman Young up to the Breakfast Club. It had no effect on his vote whatsoever. None. The race wasn't big enough. He wasn't big enough. Just a bunch of clout chasing. So to your point, Peter, I think that Trump is looking real funny. It's looking like this is the good old boy networks. We all know that Eric Adams has been a conservative police officer most of his life. And he ran as a Democrat because it was the only way he can win. And Trump has been a liberal most of his life. And he ran as a Republican because it was the only way he could win. Trump, in fact, said that back in the early 90s or late 80s, he said that if he ran for president, he would want Oprah to be his vice president. This is Donald Trump. So is there some kind of connection between him and Cuomo, and they just act like they don't like each other? I think Eric Adams can beat Mamdani. I think if Trump picked up the phone and he talked to Netanyahu and them, and they got on the line and talked to their contacts to get behind Adams, to fund him, to endorse him, stop giving him bad coverage, it would happen. It would happen, for sure. He hasn't done any of that. When Trump says he's supporting candidates who are in tight races, what is he doing to help them get across the line? I mean, he's the guy that, he has Truth Social. Does he really support people? Or is he just attaching his cart to their horse when it looks like they can win? That's my thing. Where we at? Oh, we jumped down. Yeah, sex robots is wild, Peter, for sure, but they got them. There's some dangerous prisoners that should never see the light of day. Oh, nah, Peter, I wasn't even thinking about it, but I have my suspicions about the vaccine. There's the graphene oxide that does the micro cuts. There's the nanoparticles, the self-assembling nanoparticles. There's the spike protein. There's the white embalmer's clots. There's so much that started with this vaccine. The Nobel laureate Luc Montagnier, the Frenchman, virologist, immunologist, he passed away. Initially, he claimed, and I'm not trying to scare anybody here because I don't know if he's telling the truth. He could have been just, chasing clout. Just because he was in his 80s doesn't mean he's immune to that. But he claimed that the way the vax was rolled out, he predicted that there'd be mass deaths in 3 to 5 years. That was his prediction. Next thing you know, he drops dead, I don't know if it's true or not. Personally, I think that there were a lot of placebo batches. I think depending on the batch you got, I think some of those batches weren't a vaccine at all. And in my conspiratorial mind, I'm thinking the reason why they would do that is because they can't have everybody dropping at the same time. So everybody's on a different schedule. At least this is in my conspiratorial mind. I have no factual basis for any of this. So don't get spooked. But if you're concerned, I suggest you get that nattokinase and bromelain, and you have that to help dissolve those clots, because in Japan, one of the most heavily vaccinated countries, that's what they're all taking because they've discovered certain things about the vaccine. And they're trying to make Robert Kennedy look crazy. I mean, he doesn't help his own case much because he seems like when he gets pinned down, he backs down. He won't stand on business all the time. But he knows some things. The man is not a fool. He got Trump doubting the CDC and his own Operation Warp Speed. There's something that's going on there. And I just didn't trust it. I just didn't trust it because I'm suspicious. Call me paranoid. Growing up the way I grew up, that's kind of like one of the symptoms that you develop. You start becoming paranoid and not very trustworthy, especially when it comes to the system. Yeah, Cohen, the Florida inmates, they kind of special too. You know, when you look at them with them dookie dreads and face tats, you understand you're dealing with people that's on a low vibration, right? I mean, criminals are criminals, but some criminals have some kind of a code of conduct. And then there's the criminals who are akin to rabid beasts, right? So a good friend of mine, he was locked up in Coleman. There's a Coleman 1 and a Coleman 2. Coleman Federal in Florida, maximum security. And he said that there was an issue between the New York guys and the Florida guys. And the issue came about because one of the Florida guys saw a female correction officer walking down the tier, and he ran down the tier jacking his meat, and she tried to get away from him and went in the cell of a New York guy. And he entered the cell and finished on her. Now see, yes, I get it, it's prison, all of that. But this dude was pretty much animalistic before he got there. Prison didn't make him like that. He had those kind of tendencies when he was on the street, see? And we don't see guys like that where I come from. I'm not saying they're perfect and they don't do crazy things, but that lack of impulse control that's a different breed. You know, and of course, because it was a New York guy's cell, he felt like his house got violated and it turned into one thing to another. So I'm trying to talk to my boy, because he had been down over 20 years already at the time. And I'm telling him, like, look, man, we trying to get you up out of there. This, that, the third, man. I said, yo, y'all can't, talk this thing out. And this was his exact words to me, Cojones. He said, look, man, you haven't seen these people. You can't reason with them. There's only one thing they understand. And when he told me that, I said, understood. In other words, they take negotiation, logic, and reasoning as a sign of weakness. You got to crack them over the head first and then start the negotiation from there. And that tells you where they are mentally. Mentally, they only react to pain and pleasure. See, those are dangerous people to deal with, because you're going to have to hurt them. You're going to have to put them in the ground, man. Because you don't even really want to, well, they're not going to honor any agreement they have anyway. Like I said, they're kind of like rabid animals, man. The so-called white nationalists have a point when they link low IQ to violent crime. Or is it more to it than that? I don't think all people with low IQ are violent. I think it's definitely more to it than that. I do think that people who are low IQ and depraved, because you have some people who are low IQ, but they're harmless. They're pleasant, they're going to do menial tasks, and that's going to be it. Then you got these others who are, they're going to try to impose their will through intimidation. Like, I look at a lot of these dudes, man, and listen, I've been around some serious cats, right? And the more serious they are, the more polite, the more everything. When I see them really trying hard to look intimidating with the hair and the face tats and all that, I call it the blowfish syndrome. You know, like how a blowfish swell up to try to intimidate people? Intimidate predators to stay away. If you're trying to telegraph that you're a scary guy and you tattooing 666 on your forehead and all kinds of nonsense, Me, it has the opposite effect on me. I just think you're a real punk. What's up, Dr. Anwar? Yeah, the cartels and oil go hand in hand in Venezuela. That's what they say, you know. I don't even know why they got cartels in Venezuela. The coke is in Colombia. 87% of the coke that's coming into America is leaving out of Colombia, going towards the Pacific, up the coast of Mexico. It ain't coming from Venezuela and the Atlantic or the Caribbean, nah. So I don't know about that, John. How do they say it? Money in the ceiling, choppers in the closet. Look, man, you talking about the stash houses? They don't even be having choppers. There's nothing there. See, I knew a guy who wanted to go in the stash house and get the money, but it never really happened that way. I saw it as oops, look, it was an easy mark, but whatever. I knew a firefighter said Koreans are notorious for stashing. Listen, everybody does it. Yeah, the real ID, Dave, it's not that yet, but the plan is to tie that to the digital currency and everything else. You're not going to be able to hide what you own. None of that. Everything is going to be linked to your biometric through your real ID. Whether it be your retina scan, facial recognition, it doesn't matter. DNA, everything is going to be linked through your real ID, because that's really who you are digitally. Because your driver's license is already a real ID. When they say real ID, what do they mean? That your previous ID wasn't real? That wasn't really you? What are they saying? No, this real ID is part of an entire new system where your digital ID is going to be necessary for everything, for every transaction, for employment. You won't even have to file taxes. They'll go in that damn account and take it out. That's how it goes. It's very, very dangerous, man. Nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. And they're big on your immigration status, your nationality, all of that. Because once you're here, you're not going to be allowed to take your money anywhere. That lady, what's her name? Catherine Fitz. I think that's her name. She said something interesting, and I could see it. I could visualize it when she said it. Right. So when you link digitally to your money and your assets, your bank account, your employment, what if, hypothetically, you could only use your money within a certain radius? What if you went beyond that radius, you no longer have access to your money? See, that's the type of things that go on with this digital world that we're in. And I know there's a lot of Bitcoin proponents. I did a review on a book written by Kenneth Sass. He's a supporter here. But I think the introduction of Bitcoin was to slowly condition people to trusting in and preferring digital currency. Now, the proponents of Bitcoin, they'll argue that Bitcoin is cryptocurrency, and it's in the ledger and the wallet, and there's only 21 million and blah, 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 blah. It doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, even if everything they say about Bitcoin is true, you got the stable coins, you got the meme coins, you got all of that, and people are just getting used to using digital currency. And I think it was set up to get everybody prepared. And of course, what do? they use it to enrich people. And that causes everybody to get on board with it. And that's exactly what happened. People made a lot of money off of Bitcoin, and they got on board. I think when Bitcoin first came out, you could get a Bitcoin for 10 cents. Now it's like, I don't know, 100,000 or more. It's a very, very slippery slope, man. It really is. It really is. Trump posted on Truth Social a pic of Chris Christie and Pritzker both in Chinese. Yeah, that's Trump though. He's a jokester. Yeah, Trump offered Adams the ambassador job to Saudi Arabia. A country run by banks will always be in debt, yes. But Peter, the world is run by banks right now. Healthcare run by big pharma will never cure disease. Correct. A state run by war will never know peace. Oh, you waxing poetic, or is that somebody else's writing there? A nation run by media will never know the truth. Good Lord, Peter. If that's your writing, man, you need to submit something to ScoonTV. Cuomo seems similar to Trump. Pushing the COVID, famous New Yorker. Listen, Trump has been a liberal his whole life. He knows Andrew Cuomo, knew Cuomo's father. He knows them all. Peace, Rich, what's up? Yeah, the ultimate insider family, the Italian Kennedys. Yeah, for sure. For sure. Kevin, it looks like Eric Adams is his own man. It does. It looks like Eric Adams is his own man. I don't know what's going on, but I got to put something together before the election. And I want to give it some time to make sure I focus on the right person. Whoever's in the way. Adams called Cuomo a snake. I think Adams see the writing on the wall with Trump, man, you know. You remember telling your mother-in-law how she know they gave her the real vaccine. True. I'll tell you what, though, what they didn't get with the vaccine, they certainly got with the boosters if they went to get it. You know, the sad part, Darnita, is that, like my mom, she got the vax, and she gets all the booster shots, but she can't help herself. She gets the flu shots, too. She even told me that once she took the vax, she didn't feel right. Like she gets psoriasis, all kinds of stuff that never happened to her. She experiences now and stay going to the doctor. She'll be 81 in another month or so, another week or so, but still. I was listening to an economist that says the jobs report is misleading. Correct. He mentioned the large exodus of immigrants. Correct. Yeah, I think there's also a decrease in need of certain employees. I think we're about to start seeing a lot of business closures in hospitality, in restaurants. You ever notice how many food spots there are? You know? There's so many food spots. It's almost like that's everyone's go-to choice when they try to open a business. All these restaurants. I remember when, you really had to go to the downtown area. For us in New York, it would be like Manhattan, so to speak, to have a selection of restaurants. Now you got restaurants everywhere, takeout spots everywhere. You know, it used to be just like a Kentucky Fried Chicken, Burger King, McDonald's, Jack in the Box, and Chinese food. But now you got restaurants everywhere. You're going to start seeing them folding. I was told, Peter, that 40% of the restaurants in D.C. are facing bankruptcy. There's going to be a lot of businesses that have been kind of propped up that are going to collapse. So I don't think we're going to need all those employees, Glasgow. I don't. You know, I really don't. According to Russia, the U.S. plans to solve its financial problems by pushing everyone into the crypto cloud where they can place the 35 trillion currency debt, devalue it, and start from scratch. I believe we're going to start from scratch. I believe they're going to devalue the dollar. Are they going to do it that way? I don't know. Something's going to happen. The positioning of U.S. troops in U.S. cities around the country has nothing to do with crime. I think it has everything to do with anticipated civil unrest. And one can only imagine what would be the cause of that. All right, somebody asked me, they said they enjoyed my first documentary. When am I releasing the boxing project? I don't know. I really don't know when I'm going to do that. I'm trying to get ScoonTv solidified for everybody listening. ScoonTV.com. We got a new layout on the website. We got a lot of really good content. Download the app. Phase 1 of the app has been updated. No longer will you see latest news on there. It's just featured videos. Check out those videos. Beautiful mini docs from News is Dead. We collaborate on the content, and then the town hall, and then of course the vlogs where I speak and do this. And phase 2 of the app update is going to allow the app, hopefully, to allow purchases through the app. That's what we're waiting on. And once we do that, you're going to start seeing a major push marketing and all that. To answer your question about the boxing, once I square ScoonTV away, I'm going to set up a page where you can buy the boxing doc, view it directly from me. I'm going to do my own distribution, but it's one step at a time. I don't have to rush. You know, I've said it before. I've shared it with everyone. I'll say it again for people watching. I was offered $500,000 to $700,000 per episode. It's 10 episodes. That's $5 to $7 million. But they wanted me to drop my entire team, including my wife. My team wanted to get dropped. I said, no, I'm not dropping anybody. You know, because I understand the game. And also, I'm not a whore. Those numbers sound good, but so what? You know? So what? I did the hard part already. I could just sell the shit myself and get what it gets. I just got so much things going on at once. You know, I understand the game. They give you $500,000 to $700,000. That's for the budget to do it. But when you drop your own team, you use their team. And then they pad their expenses. And before you know it, the $500,000 to $700,000 is spent on their network. And you might walk away with about $40,000 per episode, which still, you know, I mean, it's money. But to me, I didn't do everything I did to just hand my power over to somebody else. I don't play for paper. I play for position. And what they wanted me to do was give up my position. And man, if my position wasn't important to me, I could have just applied for a job. No offense to anyone with a job, but position is everything to me. And no amount of money can talk me out of my position? How far do you go with them? What's your limit? When it comes to conspiracies, how far do I go with them? Trust. I don't trust certain things. That's it. I'm not going to get active and get involved in all. I'll just be like, you know what? This don't pass the smell test. I don't believe this. That's how I go with it. Or, if I do believe it, I put it in a data bank. By now, you all must realize that I got kind of like a photographic memory. It's not as good as it used to be, but it's still pretty good. And I remember everything. And later on, for some reason, there's always some kind of corroborating information that comes along that reinforces whatever the conspiracy theory was. Like you're just not going to show me one thing and make me believe, but I'll see the plausibility in it, and I'll sit back and I'll say, you know what? This could be the case. It could be far-fetched, but I'll put it to the side, and I'll let what I see in the future, what comes my way, either refute it or substantiate it. Oh, somebody said, not to switch the tone, but thoughts on the fight this weekend. I got Canelo by decision, and I'm not a fan of either guy. I think Bud is more skillful. I think Canelo's been scamming the whole 2020s, most of his career. But when you really look at boxing from a business standpoint and look at the WWE aspect of boxing nowadays, why would they let Crawford, who's going to be 38 2 weeks after the fight, beat the most guaranteed cash cow in the game, which is Canelo? Canelo can sell fighting me, and I have no professional fights. You could say Canelo versus Scoon, and that fight will sell. Not because of me, but because of Canelo. So it just makes sense. And he guarantees money, man. And anybody that guarantees money, they're going to protect them. And it doesn't have anything to do with black, white, Latino, it's green. Crawford has never been someone who can sell. I know he got a lot of staunch fans, but he's never been anybody who can sell, man. He saw that when he fought Madrimov. He didn't have a great performance then, but not only was it performance in the ring, but his performance at the box office was trash. So he knows he can't get that big purse unless he goes up 3 weight classes and fight a guaranteed draw like Canelo. And there you have it. I think it's going to be an unpopular decision when they give it to Canelo, but they're going to give it to him no matter what happens. Bud would have to knock him out to win. That's the only way Bud wins. Coleman 2 is the dropout yard. What's good, Colton? Pain and force is all they comprehend. Amen. I said pain and pleasure because to me the pain is the force, but they just motivated by sex and violence. KRS once said it. He put an album out there. Sex and violence. The lowest vibrational people, that's what they do. They have sex, they get high, they eat, and they fight or kill. And that's their everyday existence. That's what they do. Nothing beyond that. Candace mentioned that the country was founded by Freemasons. Well, George Washington was a Freemason, William. And we all know that the Freemasons are linked to Kabbalah some kinds of ways. Like I haven't really like studied it because it's not that important to me. But it's pretty evident that the Freemasons, the Scottish Rite, the York Rite, those are the offshoots of the Knights Templar and all that. It's pretty obvious that all of it comes from the Mideast some kind of way. I believe that's why they had the Crusades. And when you look at Western civilizations, the Greeks, the Romans, they had a keen interest first in Egypt and then in Jerusalem and Solomon's temple. And they were looking for something, and the mysteries, that esoteric knowledge. And when they discovered it, when they learned it, or what have you, that's when they built their own empires using the same knowledge. And it's all connected. If you study even the Nazis, they were very occultic. Very. They dealt with a lot of different occult teachings and what have you. Miles, what's up with you, brother? What's up with you? Glad you could make it. With U.S. aid out, do you think there's a new pipeline funneling conservative online voices money? Probably coming from the tech brothers, man. Directly from Peter Thiel and Sam Altman and all those guys. Yeah. You destroy one creature, you got to replace it with another. You don't leave voids nowhere. The old system is down. There's going to be a new system to replace it with a new objective. You look at that guy, Tim Cast, who's funding him? Because they definitely got him in the tank. Kim Iverson, I believe, she pointed out, she's a pretty smart lady, but she was going at Tim Cast and she made a lot of sense to me. Oh yeah, thank you, Colton. Figuring it out in real time. That can't be used to judge other proven vaccines. Happy belated birthday. Yep. Last Friday was my birthday, 61. I heard a clip of Charlemagne saying he regrets taking he said he got chest pains. I tweeted him today to tell him, go get that natto, the organic natto. The Japanese lady makes it in New York. Or you can take the supplement nattokinase. It's a lot of K2. It fights blood clots because there's a lot of clotting with that. XRP might be used. Government always take things, A lot of people who's into crypto are talking about XRP, but I don't know enough about it. I see it getting a lot of push. Okay, yesterday they were having some issues. It should be clear. A lot of the content is migrating, right? And I got some new people handling things. The way the site was set up. So my brother set up the server, and then the web developers built the site. But my brothers he wouldn't let them get access to the server. I guess because he's really this is what he does for a living, not websites. It's just tech stuff. In fact, one time he built something to help one of the companies that we were dealing with. He made a patch or something for the website that the company didn't even have with the plug-in or whatever. Don't get me to talking. I don't know any of that stuff. Yeah, but my brother's super, super good with it. It's just that he's not a website developer. He literally does all this tech stuff for a living. This is what he does. So he set up the server, and he would not let the web developers, because their proficiency is not, I don't know that tech stuff. I just gathered that he didn't really think they knew enough to tinker with the server, and he didn't want them to create a mess he would have to clean up. But we got an Indian guy now, and I was surprised my brother gave him total access to the server. So maybe, this guy convinced him that he know what he's doing. So I think we're gonna have everything smooth. The content's being migrated. Darnita, the videos, if you look at the thumbnails on the homepage, they're not the most recent ones, but that's supposed to change once everything migrate. And yeah, we should be okay soon. We should be okay soon. I've noticed a lot of restaurants that are surviving are providing takeout and delivery service only. They're adjusting, but that's going to stop too. That's going to stop too. You see, and that's working for them because they don't have to have that staff inside with the servers and all that stuff. If Crawford's win, will you finally give him credit as an all-time great? Nah, you can't be an all-time great if you didn't beat all-time greats. Come on, man. It's unfortunate. Look at his list of opponents. Sean Porter, come on. Errol Spence, I like Spence, but I don't think Spence is a Hall of Fame fighter. I like Tank. I don't think Tank is a Hall of Fame fighter. You can't be a Hall of Fame fighter if you didn't fight Hall of Fame fighters. You guys got to meet and get it on. Shit, Hearns was 22, rumbling everybody. I think he was 22 when he fought, was it Pepino Cuevas or Hagler? Look, man. No, he wasn't 22 when he fought Hagler, but he was young. He was in his 20s. Them guys would rumble. Who would you say creates the most value in my life? Create the most value in my life? And you talk about a person? I would have to say myself. Yeah. Yeah, because I dedicate my whole life to not just creating value and purpose for me, but value and purpose for others. Like literally, nobody opens a door for me to walk in. Every door I walk in, I open myself. I pay the admission. There's no gimmies over here. There's no favors. There's no nothing. Nah. First fight week is finally here. Otherwise, will you and Asia be tuned into? I'm not watching it. Asia's probably gonna watch it. I said I'm gonna boycott. Nope, I'm not giving him his credit because I don't think Canelo's that great. It'll be interesting if he knocked Canelo out. I would have to give him his credit. Don't to move up 3 weight classes and knock somebody out that never been stopped, never been dropped. Yeah, I'd have to give him his credit because Canelo's had like 66, 67 fights, never tasted the canvas. If Crawford knock him out, you won't hear nothing else from me. Thank you guys on the birthday wishes. I heard Floyd and Tyson gonna fight each other. Yeah, another gimmick. An undisputed champion. Undisputed don't mean nothing to me, Wise, because there's over 100 belts. There's far too many belts. There's the WBO, there's the IBF, there's the WBC, there's the WBA, there's the Ring Magazine belt now. Then they got some other off-brand IBO, and there's like 17 weight divisions, 17, 18, like 5, 6 belts each one. There's the franchise belt. There's the it's just a joke. Everybody walks in the ring with a belt. So you can't sell someone to me with them being undisputed. If this was 1982 and you told me they was undisputed in 3 weight divisions, I'd be like, yeah, that's impressive. Right now, nah. Oh, 50 Cent acquired the rights to Paid in Full. You know, Paid in Full was a good story, a good movie. I don't watch that stuff, William. But I think there's a demand for it. I don't understand the demand, but to each his own. It's not interesting to me for my own reasons, but I guess if I was never around it, like when I hear people talk about people, like I've actually been in rooms with them. Some of the people they talk about, when I see them on YouTube or whatever, I know them. And the funniest thing is like when you really know what really happened and who these people are, you just sit there and watch and be like, do people really believe this shit? But they do. They do. And look, man, if it's entertaining, I bet a lot of mobsters feel that way about those mob movies because they really know what happened. And I can guarantee you most of the times it's not what we saw on the screen. It's just not. He made a Marvel universe for drug dealing content on the Stars Network. I think people are going to get tired of it soon enough. It's had a long run, man. It's had a long run. I remember when blaxploitation was popular. And then that came to an end. Bobby from Rockaway, peace. Yeah. Momin Crawford will shock the world. We'll see. We'll see. Oh, Cameron involved with 50 for Paid in Full. I mean, when I saw Paid in Full, I just thought it was put together so well. I forgot the director's name, but it was solid. It just didn't get the push. I think the distributor was Miramax at the time. And Dame Dash being the guy that he was, he just pissed everybody off because he's a jerk, I hear he has the rights to do the Preacher story. Yeah, Preacher got a hell of a story too, Yeah, Preacher got a hell of a story. Preacher was a sick pup. The interesting thing with Preacher is that, he snitched, and last I heard, he would not check into PC. Nobody could make him check in. Nobody. He was walking the yard, Yeah, he know that martial art thing pretty good. What's up, Till Infinity? Yo, you brothers got to download the ScoonTv app. Got to get the app, y'all. It wasn't Kevin Childs from Harlem. I never heard of Kevin Childs until Don Diva magazine. That's no shots at him, but his mom was killed, and rest in peace to her. And he went to prison, and while he was in prison, he started Don Diva magazine with Cavario and his wife to be Tiffany. But just me personally, right? I don't even like how it sounds, but if my mom got killed because of my activities, I don't know if that's the kind of magazine I'd be involved with. because it kind of glorified the lifestyle that led to her death, and I'm not sure that would be something I would even want to touch. The individual who was convicted for killing his mom is a dude from the Bronx named Tom Cross. Now, I was in contact with Tom Cross. Tom Cross shared some things with me about the case that I'm not going to repeat. But, I think people just need to leave that street stuff alone, because at the end of the day, right, if you're not really built like that, the fact that you didn't tell is not enough. That is a world where, force and violence rule. The way I define gangsterism is, to impose one's will through the use or threat of violence. And if you ain't moving like that, just be cool, man, because you can't handle what's coming your way. That's how I see it. See, and that's why I do ScoonTv. I don't want that kind of smoke, right? Because I really understand what it is. It's not about the gold chains. It's not about the clothes. Not about the cars. At the core, you better be built like that. And if you're not, and you better have you a lucky charm or something, for sure. Because your day gonna come. Your day gonna come. And you'll never see it coming. The drug dealing movies is so tiring, like, damn. I don't watch any of them. Wise, I don't watch any of them. I don't watch any of them. I think they're corny. When I look back, in hindsight, I started off the night tonight playing I'm Your Pusher Man by Curtis Mayfield, because I used to listen to that soundtrack before I ever saw the movie. And it had such an impression on me. And for me, the streets was just always a way to, it's like a rite of passage to test myself. And I got into the streets looking for honor and integrity. And it does exist there, but in very small quantities, bruh. It's far more betrayal than honor and integrity. Yeah, yeah. So once I started understanding that part of it, I'm just like, yeah, consider yourself lucky that you wasn't irreparably damaged from your curiosity, your inquisitiveness, and just keep it pushing. I learned a lot of lessons, and I'm just on to the next phase of my life. So I don't really look at those movies. I'm not intimidated by any of those people. Couldn't care less, because I understand them better than they understand themselves. I walked with them. Like Hollywood gets a hold of content and storylines it's goofy and cartoonish. Facts. You think there's any validity to people who say a key Trump tell is when he accuses someone else of being guilty of exactly what he was guilty of? I never gave that any thought for a long time. And just being in those rooms is kind of, incriminating. Not saying that you did anything, but like, hypothetically, I'm going to use myself as an example. If I'm in a room and crimes are being committed, although I'm not partaking in the crime, I'm part of the crime. I'm going to give you guys a true story. You run with this one, right? So I knew Peter Hall really well. Peter Hall is the guy who got Kimber Smith in all that trouble President Clinton, he pardoned Kimber and she got out. So Peter has a brother named Unique. Unique does the YouTube channel now, Unique Mecca Audio. Unique, they're from Jersey. They're not from Harlem. So Peter, he's driving, I'm hanging with Peter. He goes to pick his brother up from the airport in Norfolk, Virginia. His brother had just got out of prison. I never met his brother. His brother flew down. Their mom was at the house. I met their mom, Mary, and all that. He picks his brother up from the airport, and his brother, Unique, the one that's on the podcast, he starts talking about an individual named Barry. Barry's a guy that Pete had with him, that Pete accused of stealing from him. Unique promises to discipline Barry. In my opinion, just me being around guys, I just felt it was performative, right? I felt like he was trying to make an impression for me. All right, cool. We get to the house. Barry's sitting there with Peter's mom. Unique start taking off his shirt. Now, Unique is a physical specimen, right? You see that docuseries Shaka Zulu, when he took off his shirt, chisel, look, not massive, but just cut to shreds. He takes off his shirt. I'm like, oh boy. He clears the furniture out because he's saying he's gonna whoop Barry in there. He get to fighting with Barry. Now Barry looked like, Carlton from the Fresh Prince, but with a dad body. But Barry's holding his own. He's not beating Unique, but he ain't getting beat either. And Unique's mother went and grabbed a knife. And his real name is Wainsworth, right? And in her Jamaican accent, she said, "If you touch Wayne again, me I will kill you." And I looked at her with that knife and I said, oh my God, this lady means business. I'm in the house. Now I have nothing to do with it. But if they get to cutting him up and I don't report the crime, now I'm part of the crime. So what do? I go get Peter, who was hiding upstairs. And I said, yo, come get your mother, man. And it wasn't because I was concerned about Barry. It was because I didn't want to be in that situation. So I say all of that to say, right, back to Trump. You can't be around certain things and not be complicit. If you don't intervene, you are complicit. See, and a lot of people don't really understand the law like that. But I do, and that's why I avoid trouble. I wasn't going to sit there and be like, well, it ain't got nothing to do with me. No, if y'all want to fix them up when I'm gone. You feel me? Haven't turned into a fireside chat in a minute. What's the latest on Born the Box? Ain't nothing, I got it. I'm working on ScoonTv right now. Become a subscriber. Support ScoonTv. Once I get the platform straightened out, man, next thing I'm gonna build a website for Born the Box and sell the movie myself. You ever read Peter Shu's book? Nah. Sure haven't. I mean, he's a party promoter. He was offered some short time, didn't take it, ended up getting some long time. You can't break the law and not expect to do some time. I know somebody who was with him in Allenwood. Yeah, he was in Allenwood. In the medium, in the lower camp, something like that. He wasn't in the pen. I know somebody's with him in Allenwood. He came home and I think he was auctioning some panties he said belonged to Madonna. Look, again, I don't know any of these people, but I can tell you unequivocally, that these are not the type of individuals that I would associate with. You know, we just function from different codes of conduct, man. I'm not that guy that's going to be talking about women who I slept with. I'm definitely not going to be auctioning their panties off. A lot of that stuff I just don't relate to, man. And I'm not acting like I'm holier than thou or any of that. It's just that, when you move in a circle, you got to kind of find like people who got similar values to you. No, I don't follow the Redskins, William, but Asia's grandmother loves that quarterback from the Redskins, I know he's the truth. I kind of don't even really follow sports anymore, to be honest with you. Nah, I don't. I got Wizards tickets, but I barely go. I might go 2-3 times, depending on who the opposing team is, and I just really go to take Asia with me. Touch the cement. Who could survive you? Yo, bruh, Peter, that's why I'm kind of like a loner these days. I do got my folks, but we older, man. My man Quad, the one I was talking about earlier, that was in Coleman with the meat jacker down there from Florida. He's home now. He came home after 27 years. He came home about maybe 4 years ago. Yeah, he came home, 2021 or 2020. And I talked to him earlier tonight. He's married. He got 2 straight job trucks, running his business. Like, we all got our own life now, We be in touch. We keep in touch with each other. He and I have known each other since he was 11 and I was 13. I'm 61 now, he's 59, And I did the whole bid with him. Support and helped him get out. Does Enigma describe me? I don't know, man. I'm just me, bro, I don't even really think about it. I know the people who really, really know me. They really appreciate me. But it ain't too many people who really, really know me like that. Like I was talking about Qua. Qua was locked up. He had, 6 life sentences plus 30 years. And he was asking me to take pictures in the mall in Atlanta for him. And it just hit me. I was like, yo, my man really missed the streets, man. So I told him, I said, look, bro, if you miss the outside world that much, you got to start working on getting out of here. Because he was jailing. Jailing come easy to him. He's one of them aggressive. I don't want to say he was in his element, but it didn't really faze him like that. Everybody know him all over the country. You know what I mean? He did 27 and 25. He did in maximum security prisons all over the country. And they all know him everywhere he go. And I told him, I said, you got to get out, man. I can't be your pen pal for life. So we started working on it. I got him to get in the law library, and I would pay for the minutes, the pages, all that stuff. I supported him financially in his effort. He did the legal work, though. He found somebody on the outside to, collaborate with him with the legal work, one of those nonprofit agencies. But at the end of the day, he overturned a key conviction that got the life sentences off of him. And he called me in 2016 and said, yo, I got a date. His date was still 5 years away. And it was because of a gun charge that his co-defendants had gotten rid of. But he didn't participate in that because he gave up. He thought he was done. Otherwise, he would have got out in 2016. So it took him another 5 years to get that handled. And when he got out, he couldn't believe it. And he's a solid dude, man. Solid dude. I'll never forget the day when I told him, look, I can't be your pen pal for the rest of your life, bro. If you miss out here, you got to get out here. And I help you do that. And he did it. And we chop it up all the time now. Yeah. All right. Oh, it's 9:34. All right. Enigma, huh? Well, I appreciate you too, Peter. I appreciate all of y'all. I appreciate everybody. Tote knowledge. Yeah, man. Download that ScoonTV app. What are my thoughts on Charleston White? I think Charleston, there's a method to his madness. I couldn't do it, but that's what he do. I definitely ain't mad at him. I visited Charleston White in Dallas and got on his podcast with him. He called me the next day and he said, man, the whole time I was interviewing you, I was looking in your eye and all I saw was light. I think Charleston, once he said somebody's a bullshitter, he do what he do with him, Yeah, for sure. All right, y'all. I think that's it. I'm gone. God bless. Love y'all. Next week, let's do it again.